and welcome to News Across Nigeria. I'm Olumide Macaulay. On the program today, 22nd Nigerian Economic Summit opens in Abuja. President Muhammadu Buhari asks citizens to promote locally made goods. Nigerian Navy unveils strategic directive to sustain partnership with security agencies in West Africa to enhance nation's maritime security. And Governor Nyesom Wike flags off an 8.2-kilometer road in River State, insists on delivering election promises. Thank you so much for joining us. We begin in the north-central region of the country. President Muhammadu Buhari says the theme of the 22nd Economic Summit, Made in Nigeria, is in line with his administration's agenda. The president made this comment while declaring the summit open in Abuja, Nigeria's federal capital. Addressing the nation's import dependency, President Buhari challenged participants at the summit to come up with suggestions that will aid the decisions of the fiscal authorities.
Fortunately, we have champions of Made in Nigeria that have defied the odds over years to produce locally and contribute to our economy. I understand that some of them will be discussing leaders at this event to share their experience in your insight sessions, which you have appropriately called the Situation Room. I hope that by the end of this summit, participants will make realistic and enforceable recommendations on policies, initiatives, and incentives that will enhance the work we are already doing in this administration. Encourage more local production, improve our ease of doing business environment, transform our technology and innovation capabilities, improve quality and standards, promote, export, and change our own attitude and behaviors to Made in Nigeria products and services. My greatest desire is that Nigeria moves from import dependence to self-sufficiency in local production and become an export-led economy in goods and services. I strongly believe that this summit will bring all stakeholders on board to stay on that course.
Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari. Meanwhile, the 22nd Nigerian Economic Summit will produce results on the economic situation in the country. And that's coming from the chairman of the summit, Mr. Bukar Kyari, who made the statement at the opening ceremony of the conference in Abuja. According to him, the conference promises positive suggestions as seen in its antecedents.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, recent data released by the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics clearly confirms that we are in an economic recession. I will not preempt the keynote presentation this morning that will provide further insights from us on the state of the Nigerian economy. But one thing is clear. This is an opportunity for us to swallow some bitter pills and tell ourselves some hard truths. Unfortunately for us, our options are now limited, but we can begin by focusing on Made in Nigeria, which is the theme of this year's Nigerian Economic Summit. Consequently, NES 22 is expected to convey the need for us to urgently commit to structural and fiscal changes required for us to leverage our market size and turn our consumption pattern from a liability into being an asset through Made in Nigeria.
In other news, to justice and the legal system, the Special Assistant to the President on Prosecution at the Federal Ministry of Justice has been defending the actions of the Department of State Security, DSS, on the recent raid on some judges. Speaking on our breakfast show, Sunrise Daily today, he says the Constitution allows for the DSS to carry out such assignments.
Section 2(3)(a) of the National Security Justice Act. Read it. The DSS is responsible for the prevention and detection of any crime against the internal security of Nigeria. Any crime. It includes corruption, money laundering, penal code, criminal code, perversion of justice. That's what they are accusing them of. So any crime, is so broad, any crime against the internal security of Nigeria, if a judge collects bribe to pervert the course of justice, it is a threat to national interest and security of Nigeria.
So why do we have
that is why in Nigeria today there is a propensity for impunity and lawlessness. People taking laws into their hands, because if you go to court, you will not have justice except you possess justice. So you are not right to say that the DSS cannot investigate corruption. We have many cases in court investigated by DSS on corruption. One former National Security Advisor is standing trial. I am involved in that matter, and that matter was investigated by EFCC. It borders on corruption.
EFCC, not the DSS.
DSS. So DSS has the power to investigate corruption, to prevent and detect any crime against the internal security of Nigeria. And that is what FBI does.
Staying with this story, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Mahmood Mohammed, has described as saddening and deeply regrettable the arrest and continued detention of some justices of the Supreme Court and the Federal High Court. While calling on Nigerians to remain calm, the CJN says the National Judicial Council is planning to hold an emergency sitting tomorrow to deliberate on the matter. Justice Mohammed was speaking at the valedictory session of a Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Suleiman Galadima, who is retiring from the services of the Nigerian Judiciary. Also speaking on the issue, President of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Abubakar Mahmood, insists that the executive has exhibited lack of respect for separation of powers. And as part of efforts to secure the nation's waterways, the Nigerian Navy has announced plans to sustain a mutually beneficial partnership with other security agencies in the West African region in order to enhance maritime security in Nigeria. Speaking in Abuja at the official presentation of the vision of the Chief of Naval Staff tagged Strategic Directive 2. The Chief of Naval Staff, Rear Admiral Ibak Abbas, says the service is committed to reducing the activities of illegal bunkerers and other criminals operating in the nation's waterways. He also announced the deployment of naval officers to the Lake Chad Basin and that the Nigerian Navy will continue to maintain a heavy presence on the nation's waterways in order to deter criminals. You're watching News Across Nigeria. And coming up, the Governor of Rivers State flags off the construction of a major road. Please stay with us.